welcome to the family with
Andy Brant Bernard.
Co-host Catherine Brandt.
Alex is not in today because she's helping someone out, but she'll be back tomorrow, I do believe. I
Our
think.
helpful daughter.
I think that's probably true. What's new? Anything good?
Latest internet outrage. Some school had a fundraiser where the kids were sucking other kids' toes.
That's
Why?
pretty gross.
Why were they doing that? What do you mean? Now, who told them to do that?
Apparently, the kids supposedly thought it up themselves.
Okay.
And at first, people thought that they were sucking on adults' toes, which may or may not be the case.
Could be a
but
problem.
Apparently, but I don't think anybody should be sucking anybody's toes for a school fundraiser.
No,
I
it's a
think
great way to spread disease.
Well,
for one.
it's unsanitary and it's also kind of
Yeah.
unseemly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I hate to use a like Victorian sort of
Well,
word.
it is unseemly.
It is unseemly. It's really gross to think about that.
It's an Oklahoma school.
Yeah.
Oklahoma? That doesn't sound like something that happened in
Oh,
Oklahoma.
What makes it weirder is that they're 9th to 12th graders. So
Oh, I
they're
thought it was elementary
What?
school. That is weirder.
no, they're post-pubescent, which makes it especially weird.
Yeah, it seems fetishy and not
Yes, it
something
certainly
that you
does.
should be encouraging in children.
What is the point of that? Having kids suck someone's toes for what reason?
It was a fundraiser of some
Yeah,
kind.
they were for their annual philanthropy week.
But what does sucking somebody's toes have to do with that?
I guess you paid somebody to suck your toes.
I think it's basically like a jackass kind of thing. Yeah, it's like, hey, will you give me, or will you give this charity $1,000 if I suck this person's toes, kind of thing.
I mean,
It's like the
You
ice
could cut-
bucket challenge, but gross.
I know, but you could come up with a million different ways of raising money in a jackass
good.
kind of way, other than sucking someone's toes.
But I got to be honest with you. If I were in ninth grade and somebody said you have to suck somebody's toe, I go, not a chance.
No, I don't care
no
about
way
it.
I'm doing
There's
that.
no charity on earth that deserves
Nope.
that.
So the kids actually did it. They went through with it, and they did
They
it.
sure
They
did.
raised like $150,000.
Good for them.
So there's a big internet outrage about that.
Ah,
Yeah.
I suppose, whatever. There's a lot of really weird news today. There's no question about that. I don't know why that is. But leading off with the toe sucking is it's a good place to
Pretty
start. Catherine, you and I have been together for 44 years. I've never sucked your toes once.
And I don't want you to either.
no.
I understand.
I mean, when Jude licks my feet, I'm like grossed out. I said, get the hell away from me, dog.
Daisy for a long time used to lick feet, like the soles of your feet. She would just go up and start licking the soles of your feet.
Really?
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
I even when I have a pedicure and they start like with the file on my, calluses and stuff,
Yeah.
I'm like, it kind of grosses me out, but tickles at the same time. So I'm always just like, can't wait till this is over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really don't understand our school system anymore that we do things like this. Really?
It just seems like I said, there's a million different ways of doing things that don't involve, that.
I guess.
High schoolers are weird.
But it's the teachers I blame. It's like, no, we're not doing that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it definitely
if the
would have had.
teachers-
It had to have been approved by somebody. Schools
Yep.
don't do anything without 50 different faculty meetings and
Yeah, I
quorums
wonder.
and blah blah blah. If it's on school grounds, it has to be sanctioned. I believe.
No doubt about it. No question. Yeah, we never did any of that stuff. All of this whole deal now. I mean, here's what I don't understand. You're a guy, but you think you're a woman, but the whole world has to. Good. If you're a guy and you think you're a woman, I'm happy for you. It makes you happy. But why do we have to have these national? You got to understand. I don't care. I really do not care. That's good for you. It's it's not my cup of tea. But do you want to be a woman instead of a man? Good for you.
Well, my opinion of the whole thing is if you're over 21, and preferably 25,
Yeah,
You can do whatever you want.
do whatever makes you happy.
the way I look at it.
Seriously, but I don't believe in the invasion of women's spaces from somebody that decides one day they're a man and the next day they're a woman.
Yeah.
I don't believe in the sports thing.
No, that's unfair as
I don't
hell.
like that at all. and
Totally
I know
unfair.
that makes me, what do they call me? They would call me a TERF.
Turf.
Oh,
Why is
yep.
it a turf?
What does that stand for?
Trans exclusionary radical feminist.
What?
Yeah.
So you're a turf.
I guess that makes me a TERF, which is a terrible, terrible thing. I understand,
Other
but I do
ones-
have my opinions about puberty blockers for children. I have a lot of opinions about this stuff. Nobody wants to hear it, and and I'm sure I would enrage the people that are really for it. But I just don't feel like you should be pumping children full of any sort of hormone.
Well, I agree with that.
There's been a lot of stories about kids that had those hormones and didn't want to be transgender anymore, and they don't regain.
No.
Once you
it's-
go
never
off
go
of
all
it,
the way back.
yeah, you don't turn back into a prepubescent person that's going to go through puberty when you're 18 or 19.
Nope.
That window's passed, and a lot of them have sexual dysfunction forever. They have, the rates of suicide for people that don't want to be that anymore are really high. I just think that you need to wait until the person is through all the things that they need to be through. You can, if they need to dress and act and be called whatever they want to be called to make them happy, fine.
Right.
But pumping children full of hormones, I think it's harmful.
I have a question for you because I can't remember. I'm not good with the dates anyway. Stuff I thought happened 2 years ago happened 15 years ago.
Yeah, just add
that
10
kind of
years.
stuff. Just add 10 years, everything. How many years ago did Cliff become a woman? Was that
God.
like
Has to
30
have been
years ago?
20 at
Yeah, but
least.
Cliff was a full-grown human being.
Yeah.
No, I understand. But what I'm saying is Cliff was the first person I know that became a woman. The first guy I know that became a woman that I knew.
Right.
Right? And I didn't care. We met over at, what's it called now? Tavern on France. What did that used to be?
I think it still might be Tavern on France.
No, it was. That's what it is now, but it used to be called something.
Oh,
It was.
I don't
You know
know.
what? It was Pizzeria Due, I think.
Oh, okay.
I think it was Pizzeria Due before that. But yeah, we met over there, and it was 20. It seems like it's longer than 20 years ago.
It
I
was a
will tell you
long
that.
time ago.
It was a long time ago. And we met, and he showed me a picture of this woman, and he goes, "What do you think of this?" And I said, "Man, she looks a lot like you. Was it your cousin or something?" He goes, "No, that's me." And I said, "Really?" I never cared. There were people that predicted, "Oh, Tom's not going to be happy with this." It's like, first of all, how would you know that anyway? And secondly, why would I care what Cliff does? I mean, I love the guy or woman now. She is a very good friend of mine. But I call both he and she because he used to be a guy, so he was he then, and now he's a woman, so he's she now. But
know.
I've never understood why anyone would think I would care about that.
I don't know. I have no idea. I
Good.
mean,
You do what you do to make yourself happy.
I
I'm happy
remember
for
you
it.
had Cliff and some other guys over to the house when we lived up in Dayton.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going out with somebody and I stopped in to say hello to everybody. And I noticed that Cliff had, he was Cliff at the time,
Mm-hmm.
had makeup on.
Right.
And I remember thinking, I wonder if he's got something to say,
Right.
to Tom.
Right.
And a couple days later, I said, "Did you notice that Cliff had makeup on?" And you said no.
No, did I?
Observational.
I probably wouldn't notice that kind of thing either.
Well, he had some pretty heavy eyeliner on, and it was pretty obvious that he had makeup on, but I didn't, I wasn't going to say anything because it's his story to share. It was his story to
Yeah,
share.
yep.
And then after a couple of years later, I think is when he told you that he was transitioning.
That
And I was
had to be like
I was
30
like, that
years
makes sense. I mean, he was married. He was definitely wearing makeup, and there was some other
Mm-hmm.
things going on, and I wasn't surprised by it. But like I said, he was a full-grown human being, and he's had
Yeah,
plenty of
exactly.
time to think about this and know what he wants. And I think there should be a lot of counseling and a lot of consideration, not just it's fashionable, I'm going to do it.
No, I understand that.
Yeah.
But here's what I understand about people. Because I was accused, of course, of being totally anti this and anti that. And oh my God. Why don't they ever bother to get off their ass and do their work and check? Does Tom know any gay people? Does he know any trans people? Does he know any of this? You know any of that? If they had done their work instead of just blasting away, They would have found out I don't care about stuff like that, and I never have. You want to be who you are, good for you.
Blasting away is their job.
Yeah, but
Investigation is not
Oh, no.
something that anybody does anymore.
nobody investigates anything anymore. It's just
No.
really, really stupid.
No.
But now we know, what do we know? 4 trans people now, I think it is. Somewhere in there.
2, 3.
There's a 4th one too. But you live your life, I will live my life. But what I'm asking the people in the press to do is, once you get off your ass and do some research before you blast somebody and try to ruin their lives. I don't understand. What is your joy in harming other people through your shitty newspaper?
Because they're not journalists anymore.
No, they're not.
They're,
That's true.
they're activists.
You know, I don't care. We got a wedding coming up. When is it? In June? The 2 men are getting married that we know.
Yep.
That's June, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, good. It makes you happy. I'm happy for you. I don't sit around and go, well, why'd you decide to do that? It's none of my business, first of all, right?
Yeah.
But I just really wish people would ask a few questions rather than go, oh, that's the kind of guy he is, so I'm going to. It's like you have no idea who people are.
Well, you have
Get
to,
your head out of
you
your
have to
ass.
remember, too, when you have a large voice
Yeah, it's true.
and you had a large audience, people just can't
Yep.
wait to take somebody down like that.
I suppose that's true.
Yep.
Okay, now this is a story I got to get to. I just saw this headline. This ought to be interesting. A radio show's on-air leap day proposal didn't go as planned. What could it be? I have no idea what their leap day plan was going to be. Their leap day proposal.
To get married the next leap day,
Okay.
That could be
which would be a mini
4
deal.
years.
Yeah, 4 years.
I'm clicking on it right now. We're going to find out what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, a radio show's on-air leap day. A proposal didn't go as planned. Anyone who's done this long enough has had a few painful live radio moments. Well, it's been, 54 years for me, so yes, I have had
Sure.
a few, painful moments on
On
the radio.
and off the air.
On and off the air, exactly. This one's pretty rough, though. There's an Irish leap day tradition where women propose to men on the 29th. So a station in Australia decided to get in on it last Thursday. A listener named Carly called into a show in Melbourne called Fifi, Fev, and Nick, and said she wanted to propose to her boyfriend Brad on the air. They've been together for 5 years, but unfortunately it didn't go as planned. Her proposal was great. She called herself the luckiest girl alive, called him her north, south, east, and west, and told him, who I am is totally because of you. So people were shocked when she did not get a yes. She didn't really get a no either. He was at work and very flustered by it. He thought or hoped it was a joke at first. Then he said it's not going to really the type of thing that he wanted to talk about on the air. But of course, I love you. One host called it the most uncomfortable on-air moment he's ever had, but there's a happy ending. Carly called in the next day on Friday and explained that when she got home Thursday night, Brad had booked a dinner for the two to get them, two of them at a fancy restaurant, and he proposed to her. What?
I said, so
Yeah.
it all worked out.
It all worked out because he proposed to her. So that
being blindsided with something like that
Yeah.
at work is, I can see because I can't transition that easily. Like, oh, phone call,
Okay,
you're in the
yeah.
middle of something, you're in the middle of something. Oh, hi, honey, I'm on the air. Want to marry me? I would be
Melissa
like,
and I discussed that, and she basically said, if you ever try to propose to me at like a baseball game or something on the big screen, I'm gonna say no, because that just it's kind of like I don't know, not a good thing to do to someone. To
I
put
think
them
if-
on the spot in front of all those people.
Yeah.
I think if
True.
you go to a lot of games together and you're both great big fans, maybe that would be
Yeah.
a different thing.
Still, though, I don't know. To make it a public thing, it should be a private thing. Getting
I
engaged.
know.
Yeah,
But
I
it's a
think
good
so.
story if you're like I
suppose.
said, if you're a giant baseball fan or something and you really both just go crazy over a game. I think that it would be that would be appropriate, maybe.
I suppose.
Yeah.
Do you remember how I proposed to you?
I think it was a mutual agreement.
It was unusual.
We didn't do
or
anything. Well, back in those days, people didn't do all these grand gestures.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
You know,
I
now
didn't.
it's like you got to have a reveal party for a gender reveal party, and you got to have, I mean, even weddings and having a baby. You have all of these different. I don't know where all this stuff came from. It's just, we just didn't. We didn't. You know, even
People
a
have to make it
graduation.
about them.
Even a graduation party. Now it's like you have to invite 500 people, have a band. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, my
Yeah.
God. You used to
It's
just have
insane.
the family over and, grill up some brats.
We were going to get married in 1982, I remember, and then the economy collapsed. Remember that?
I do not.
Yeah, we were going to get married in 1982, so I'd only known you a couple of years by then. But the economy collapsed, so we went, well, we probably shouldn't do it right now. Then 2 years later, in 1984, the economy rebounded and we got married.
Okay.
So it all worked out well.
Don't remember about the economics, but whatever.
Oh, you don't remember the economy collapsing?
Well, I
It's
mean, your
collapsed so
early
many
20s.
times in my lifetime, I don't know anymore.
In your early 20s, the economic collapses don't really affect
Well, that's
you.
true. That's true.
That's true.
But we're only, just a few months away. We got, we better count March, April, May, June. 5 months from now, your mom and I will be married for 40 years, Andy.
Oh, it's your 40 year this year?
Yep.
my God.
Wow.
40 years.
Oh, thanks. She sounds like she's in agony because she's been married to me for 40 years.
Well,
40 years
Not-
is like,
not
if 40 years
agony.
is one of those, like, it's an amount of time that starts to feel like a lot of time.
yeah, how am I
It's
that
like-
old?
Turning 30 was like, 30, you're still prime of life, no problem.
Yeah, yep.
No, I wasn't in the prime of life in my 30s, but still.
Right.
But 40, it's like, I don't really care that much, but I can see why people are like, oh my God, I'm turning 40.
Well, you start taking inventory of your life. It's like, have I done
Well,
anything
you're at your
with
midlife.
it?
You're halfway
Yeah,
done.
you're
and
halfway
that's
done.
kind of a sobering thought,
It
Yeah.
sure is.
being halfway
Speaking
done.
of weddings, so I went to a wedding this weekend. I'm not
Yes,
going to
you
say
did.
who it was between because I don't know if they would want any stories. But so it was a friend of mine's son who was marrying a Hmong woman, and I talked to her father for I don't know 15, 20 minutes, and he was just what a character that guy is. He's a great guy. He came to California during, I didn't know anything about the secret war and all that stuff that led up to the Vietnam War.
Oh, yeah.
I really didn't know that much about Hmong people's history other than that they were fighting on our side.
They're Chinese, aren't they?
Many of them were Chinese, yes,
Yeah,
but the
yeah.
communists got after them because they wanted them to give up their culture and they didn't want to do that.
Right.
The
Hmong is a-
communists.
Oh, it's an ethnicity. Okay, that's
It
what
is
I
an
thought.
ethnicity.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's an ethnicity, but they're all over the place. It's
Yeah.
kind of like, I don't know, Romani. Romani
The-
are all over the place. They don't belong to any specific
Well,
country.
I think that the majority of them were in China at one time.
Yeah, Southwest China.
Yes. And anyway, this isn't funny, but he lost two brothers in the war.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, and his father sent the other two brothers to America. Anyway, he had a speech when they came up to the altar. He says to the groom, "My advice is don't look right, don't look left. Look straight ahead at your wife at all times. No looking right, no looking left." And then he says something like, "Even if my wife look ugly, I still look right at her." And the whole table's like, time to stop talking.
Time to dial her back.
It was so funny.
Oh, God. And he lost two of his brothers in the war, right?
He did, yes. And
terrible.
it just oh my gosh, it was just such a nice family. I mean, just wonderfully nice, warm people.
How did the Hmong get involved in the Vietnam War anyway?
Well, because like I said, they didn't like communism because they didn't want to have to
Yeah,
give up
that's
their
true.
culture.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's what communism did.
Yep.
Is everybody had to wear the gray suit and the women had to cut their hair like the men and there was no femininity, there was no masculinity. Everybody's exactly the same. And they were like, don't want to do that. And, communists have a tendency to just murder anybody that disagrees with them. And so they fled. And then when communism started coming back to where they were in Vietnam, they were like, we don't want communism because they killed a bunch of our ancestors. And I believe their original, this was a Catholic ceremony. I believe their original religion is, what's it called?
Animism?
Animism, where they believe in the spirits of their ancestors and such.
It's like Shinto.
So, yeah. So if you just delete their culture, they believe that they're spirit guides and things like that, and that would mean that they wouldn't be able to have their culture, and they don't write things down. They don't have a formal religion, or their history isn't written down. It was all passed down by stories. So, in communism, they just don't like anybody thinking any other way. So that's why I think that they were on our side.
Well, that makes total sense. When do you think Minnesota will become a communist country?
Well, I think they'd love to do that ASAP, but I don't think that they can outright do it quite that quickly.
No,
It's
there
too-
would be a
too
war.
soon. You know what's so funny about that? I was just looking at a list of if you're stressed, does country music make it any better or worse? A wellness brand just released a ranking of the most and least stressed out states in America. It's based on 16 factors that are grouped into 4 categories: money stress, work stress, health stress, and family stress.
Yes.
Tennessee was named the most stressed state, which I would have never guessed.
I never would have guessed that either.
Never would have guessed it would be Tennessee. But the 10 least stressed states are North Dakota, Utah, Iowa, Nebraska, South Dakota, Wisconsin, Idaho, Wyoming, Washington, and Minnesota. I disagree with that. People are stressed as hell in Minnesota.
Well, it's
Depends on
interesting
where.
that most of the
suppose, yeah.
places that you're talking about have the smallest populations.
Yeah.
I mean, Minnesota,
That's true.
outside of the major cities, is pretty sparsely populated.
You know, for what, 5.5 million people in the whole state?
Yeah, in North Dakota, other than Fargo, Bismarck, and I'm sure I'm missing some other larger cities, it's pretty sparse.
No, you're right. I mean, it's
So
North Dakota,
population of
Utah.
Minnesota is 5.7.
5.7.
3.7 are in the Twin Cities metro area. So
There
that
you
means
go.
2 million across the entire state.
And it's a big
without
state.
that one metro area.
Yeah,
It's a big state. Yeah, it's
it's a big state.
almost the entire length of both Dakotas.
Yep.
Yeah, it is, absolutely. But I mean, it's kind of interesting. The most stressed states are Tennessee, Alabama, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Nevada, South Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, West Virginia, and Indiana. I don't know if I'm buying this.
I'm kind of surprised at South Carolina and Oklahoma because
Yeah.
their populations aren't that huge either, other than the coast, on South Carolina. I mean, they've got lots of hill country that not too many people live in. But, I mean, traffic and just the rat race is very stressful.
Yeah, I mean, the most stressful thing about Minnesota is the way you're judged nonstop by all other Minnesotans. Why do Minnesotans love to judge people so readily? They always have been that way, too, by the way, since I was a little kid. They love to judge other people.
I was with some people that used to live in Minnesota and they got out for various reasons, jobs or whatever. And
Right.
they were like, yeah, that whole passive aggressive thing
Oh, it's very,
is
very...
really awful. And we hated it. And it is. I mean,
It's terrible.
it kind of is very tribal.
That's a
in Minnesota.
Scandinavian deal, isn't it, Andy?
It is 100%.
I don't know. I think the Germans were kind of grudgy and stuff too.
Yeah, but they'd kill you. That's the big difference.
No, man. The Scandinavians had plenty of killing too.
Yes, they did. Absolutely. So, yeah, I don't know if I would consider this most stress and least stress. I think it's all BS. I think they made it up.
Well,
Yeah,
night-
all of those lists like that, the top whatever states, it's always, I don't know.
Yeah.
They
it's
never
always-
seem very accurate to me.
And brought to you by who?
Yeah, that's the, other
the
thing.
Prozac company,
Well,
know?
that's a possibility.
Yeah,
That's
it's like
true.
this, the worst states to live in, ranked by number of Hardys, brought to you by Hardys.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Look, I love Minnesota. There are some of the people I do not like. The leadership in Minnesota annoys the piss out of me.
I know. They've always liked a weird, hardline, strange political system in Minnesota. They
Don't
just
really
love it.
understand it. They do. They absolutely love that whole deal, that passive aggressive thing, smile on your face and stab you right in the back.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Does anybody know why they're that way?
It's probably handed down from cultures. I don't know.
I guess. I just don't understand why you would smile in someone's face. I would rather just, if I have something against you, I'd rather tell you face to face, you're a pain in the ass and leave me alone. I'd much rather do that than smile in their face and stab them in the back. There's no joy in that. I mean, the joy for me is to look at them as you're telling them, why don't you get the hell away from me?
I just, what's wrong with saying what do we have a problem here?
Yeah,
Let's
exactly.
try to solve it. I can't solve the problem that you have with me if I don't know why you're mad. Right?
I agree.
Yeah,
You'll get
you
no
need to
argument
talk
from
about
me.
things. I don't know.
So, Andy, now we're not supposed to drink coffee when we wake up in the morning. Why would that be?
God, here I am, glug, glug, glug with
Sure,
my
it's bad for
coffee.
your stomach. I can't.
So you can't drink coffee first thing in the morning?
Coffee right when I wake up? No.
I found low acid organic coffee,
Well, that
Oh,
helps,
see.
yes.
and I am very happy about that.
File this one under tell me you're a morning person without telling me you're a morning person. A sleep expert named Dr. Deborah Lee says that drinking coffee the minute you wake up may not be your best bet. She says when you wake up, your cortisol level is at its peak. That's your primary stress hormone, which enhances alertness and focus. It also regulates your metabolism and immune system response. If you drink coffee at that point, it may do more harm than good. It's even possible that you could become immune to caffeine. Can you really? I don't know. Can you become
I
immune?
think a lot of people drink coffee in the morning because they have to in order to fight off the DTs rather than because it actually helps them.
Well,
You
I
think
I
so?
like 1 or 2 cups of coffee in the morning, and like I said, I have a low acid organic, and I don't think it's got that much caffeine in it because I had a couple of cups of coffee at the hotel I was staying in, and I was like wired.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah,
it had
totally
a lot
different.
of caffeine in it. So
Yeah.
I am not becoming immune to caffeine because I drink a cup or 2 every morning.
Cortisol follows a rhythm specific to your own sleeping cycle. And that explains why your energy peaks in the morning and you get more tired at night.
Wait, whose energy peaks in the morning?
It says cortisol.
Not mine.
Not yours.
Not mine. My energy peaks at like probably 8 p.m.
Really, at 8
I get
p.m.?
that too. Like when you want to go to bed, all of a sudden you've got all this energy. It's like, no, I was just tired an hour ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dr. Lee says the best time to drink coffee is mid to late morning when your cortisol levels have begun declining
Yeah, I've heard
and you
that
first
before.
feel your energy slump. So if you wake up at 7 a.m., it might be 10 a.m. or noon for you, but even waiting 45 minutes after you get up is better than having it first thing. That said, another doctor and sleep expert, Wendy Troxel, says, quote, there really is no scientific evidence that having caffeine first thing in the morning versus delaying it for a couple of hours has any differential effects on alertness. So this entire article I read through, and at the end they say, this might not be true.
Well, that's the thing about caffeine and coffee. Apparently they have no idea if it's good for you or bad for you or when to drink it,
Yeah.
how much to drink it.
Yeah. This controversy has been going on for
It has.
50
yeah.
years.
No, you're
It's
absolutely
terrible for you. It's good for you. You won't get bladder cancer if you drink coffee. You're going to die of something else if you do drink coffee. It's like, everything is in moderation, people, and then you're going to be fine.
You know what I can't get over, and I'll be very honest with you about this? I don't drink coffee very much. I have it once in a while, but very, very rarely. And I love good coffee. But when I was a kid, they opened up the Folgers or Maxwell House can. That stuff was horrible.
Yes. Yes, it
Smelled
was.
good, though.
God, it's been, yeah,
It
you're
does.
right.
It smells good.
It smells good, but it tasted terrible.
I don't know. I mean, people
Yeah.
drank it like mad.
Oh, absolutely they did. Folgers and Maxwell House were the big ones at our house.
I think
but-
it's still in the stores, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's very acidic, is what I always notice. It's got a very acidy taste to it.
And I don't like Starbucks either. I think Starbucks
No.
tastes burned, and people go crazy for Starbucks.
A lot of people say that.
And I just am like, oh, I think it's just so bitter and burnt tasting. I don't like it. Yeah, that's why you have to stick so many syrups and things in it
Yeah.
to get rid of that taste.
I suppose. Yeah, I'm not a coffee shop kind of guy. I don't know. I think it's because I hated, that Folgers Maxwell House crap in the morning. I just stayed away from coffee. I've never been a big coffee drinker. I'll have it once in a while, but not very often, really.
I remember my grandmother used to drink something called Postum.
Oh, Postum, absolutely.
And what is that?
I think it's non-caffeinated. It's like fake coffee.
Oh, like Ticino? Ticino's like bird on.
Postum, here it is. Yes, it is a. Oh yeah, I've had that. I liked it
Yep.
a lot when I was a kid. I remember. Well, not like a kid,
But it doesn't have caffeine in it, right?
No, it is made out of wheat bran and molasses.
Yeah, there you go.
Ah, molasses. That's why.
Yeah, I remember liking Postum.
Yeah, my
Good stuff.
grandmother drank that forever.
I think that's probably why I had it, is because your mom probably had it.
It could be. And what is Ticino made out of?
Ticino.
I like Ticino too.
Made out of herbs. There's different flavors made out of different herbs.
Oh, I thought it had one common denominator in all of the herbs or all of the
Doesn't
different
seem
ones.
to be, no.
Oh, okay. That's good. I
Chicory
like
seems to be like the main one.
chicory. That's what it is. Yeah, I like
Chicory, carob,
Ticino.
dandelion, Ramon seeds.
Ramon seeds?
Yes.
I don't know what that is. What's a
I
Ramon?
don't either. Ramon seed.
I only know the band, the
It's
Ramones.
a Mayan
Yeah, there you go.
superfood seed, apparently.
It's a what?
Mayan superfood seed.
Mayan
Mayan.
superfood.
Yep.
Okay.
The plant is known by a range of names, including ohoche, ohite, ohushte, uhushte, kapomo, moho. It goes on for quite a while.
Okay.
So,
You've
hey,
been- you've been
all the
informed.
names you've never heard before.
Those are a lot of names I've never heard before. You're absolutely right. I did not know this had happened because I have been running around like a madman. But I mean, I wouldn't say that Brian Oak and I are friends, but I've known him for a long time, so we're acquaintances. I would consider him a moderate friend, I guess. Radio vet Brian Oak talks about his surprise firing, and his city's 97.1 bosses have no explanation. Nevertheless, he will continue as a weekly guest on sister station K-Fan. So are they finally realizing that radio is about to go under?
I don't
Because
know.
it is. Look, I got a lot of friends still in radio. K-Fan's a good example of it. KS95 is. My Talk certainly is. They're very, very good friends of mine, all the rest of it. It's never going to disappear because what they'll do is they'll shift it all over to digital.
Right.
And that'll be that. What are they going to use radio for in the future? Will it be used for anything?
Well, I think in some areas, like in Minnesota, for example, the weather is just so, it can be so brutal. And there's a lot of traffic, and it takes people a long time to get to work. I think that you're always going to have
Yeah.
that live time.
Absolutely, yes.
You know,
But those will be podcasts that'll.
yeah, it'll be the same thing, but I don't know. And I also, don't we have to have some sort of emergency broadcasting situation if the grid goes down? I mean, radio doesn't depend on that, right?
No, radio broadcast is all through the air. So as long as they got electricity flowing to the tower, you can get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like they shouldn't shut it down all the way because,
They probably won't shut it down all the way, but it just won't be a mainstay. It's fallen way off as far as the go-to on your way to work in the morning.
yeah.
Unfortunately, hey, look, I love radio. I wanted to be in radio since I was 15 years old. I've been on radio for 54 years. Obviously, I loved it.
Oh, yes, it was
whole
part of
deal.
your DNA, really.
It is part of my DNA, so I don't know, but everything changes. As soon as all that stuff came along, you just realized, man, this is going to be totally different.
Yep.
Well, we've had this family podcast now for what, 13 years, 12, 13 years?
Jeez.
12, I think.
12, yeah.
Amazing.
Is it 12 or 13? Let's see. Let's check Dropbox. It's got all
We're going to
the
find out.
Well, I just saw some videos of some robots like feeding cattle.
Oh, yeah, I saw that too. Yeah.
And doing all kinds of just regular chores. I mean, in the future, I don't know what people are going to be doing if robots are going to be doing all of the labor.
Well, I mean, the idea is if robots can do everything and produce an infinite amount of resources, then technically there's no reason for humans to need to work at all.
That's correct.
So
And
then
that's-
we just
That's
have
the
to go-
concept of Star Trek. Star
Yeah.
Trek takes place in a post-scarcity society. So it's like, why do people work? Because the world needs to run.
Right.
Goods need to be produced, stores need to be opened, that sort of thing. But if all those things are just going to happen without people, then why do we need people to work? We don't.
Well, we're never going to get to the point where we can run everything by robots or whatever, because as long as we have other countries that are going to attack and, get into your computer systems and destroy everything and hack this and hack that. We can't go there. There's no way.
Right.
You're going to always have to have some sort of backup system.
I mean, their systems can be made to be hack proof. It's just that people are lazy and don't bother.
Oh, really?
Like, you're not going to be able to hack, a NASA's shuttle or anything like that. It's just not possible. It's a closed system, proprietary everything. I mean, theoretically speaking, if you had a powerful enough supercomputer, you could break the encryption, but it would
Yes.
take many millions of years to do that, and it just, wouldn't be worth it.
Well, but if they can turn off your electricity, hacking into those kind of systems, then how are you ever going to have this society where nobody has to work?
Well, what's the point of hacking into people's systems if you don't need to, hold anyone ransom or anything? If all your needs are met, why do you do that?
Well, because some areas are going to have famine because of flood or fire or tsunamis, and they're going to need resources from other people. And if they're not willing to share it, people are
Yeah.
willing to fight about stuff.
Star Trek is the whole world is post scarcity.
Yes.
One
Yeah.
country being post scarcity doesn't really solve a whole lot of problems.
Right.
All right, City's 97.1 radio personality Brian Oak was summoned to his program director's office for an all-staff meeting when he unexpectedly saw iHeartMedia's market president standing by the office door. He knew it was about to happen. He was going to get fired. It did come out of nowhere, the 30-year-old radio veteran, or 30-year radio veteran said. He's a little over than 30 since he's been on the radio for 30 years.
Yeah.
Said last week, 8 days after he was dismissed, I have zero idea what the rationale was. Both bosses were tight-lipped and said, we're moving in a different direction. They always say we're moving in a different direction, don't they?
Every day,
They do.
different
Absolutely.
direction.
The fateful meeting on February 21st with iHeart executives, City's 97.1 program director Rich Davis and market president Greg Alexander. I know Greg, but I don't know Rich. Lasted about 11 minutes, according to Oak. They weren't severe about it. What do you mean severe? Get out of the building right now.
Okay, so he didn't do anything bad.
No, it doesn't sound like it.
Okay.
I wasn't thrown bodily from the building. I was sat down and given all the information they were willing to impart. Oak turned in his key card, took his coffee mugs, and left for a previously planned vacation scheduled for the next day. They fired him on his way out the door on vacation?
Yeah.
That's cold. Let him enjoy his vacation and then fire him.
Yeah. Or you could think, well, we fired him and now he can think about it on vacation. I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to continue the story, but I got to ask you two a question.
No good way.
Because Catherine has known me now for 44 years. Andy, you've known me your whole life. Do you think, because he was summoned into the office to meet with management and they fired him, do you think people have a different perspective of me? Because when I was fired at KQRS, they called me from Atlanta on the telephone to tell me I was fired. Does that give you a message?
Have you fly in and I don't know.
Well, no.
I would
why
rather.
didn't-
Let's say if I'm miles and miles away and someone fires me, I'd much rather they call me than be like, hey, can you fly back so I can tell you something?
Well, no, but I'm just saying, why didn't somebody at the Q call me into their office and say, hey, Tom, we're going to let you go?
Oh, I wouldn't want to fire you to your face
Why not?
because you have a tendency to be loud.
What?
Belligerent.
Belligerent? What are
Mad?
you talking about?
No.
Mad?
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, if I had been fired from KQ, I wouldn't have been called into the office. I would have been called to the bar because half of them are drunks. But anyway, maybe that's why they wouldn't fire me in person, because I'd tell them to their face.
Yeah. I don't know.
No, look, I would, and I'll be very honest about it. If they wanted to go from first to 13th place, they should have just let me know and I would have left of my own accord. I didn't know they wanted to fail miserably, so what? Well, it's true. They're a disaster.
That's
Really
sad.
unfortunate. Highest rated morning show in America, and this is what you did to it? Nice job there, Cumulus.
Well, at least they got rid of an old white guy.
That's exactly right. Get rid of the old white guy.
So look on the bright side.
Speaking
It's
of
all
old
true.
white guys, we have breaking news.
What
The
is it?
Supreme Court ruled that Trump remains on the ballot.
That's correct. 9-0.
Yeah, not only did they rule it, but they ruled it unanimously, which is very interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
Considering how
that's-
partisan some of those justices are.
Do you think that all of his cases are going to come before the Supreme Court now?
They're going to have
Yes,
to. They're just
they're
going to
gonna
keep
have
going
to.
They
after
have
him
to.
until the Supreme Court tells them to go
Yep.
to hell.
They're going to have to do
Yeah,
it.
They're
they're
never
gonna-
going to stop.
They have to. I mean, I just, like I said, I'm not a Trumper, but what they're doing is, first of all, it's to me, I think they're committing political suicide by doing it because you can't trust a court system that's going to make up laws
Nope.
No, that's
and
true.
sunset laws just to get somebody. You can't have people that are running to get into office on the premise that they're going to get somebody. I mean, our politicians and our judicial system are in place to protect us. That's why we pay taxes. It is not to plunder and commit lawfare against its citizens. Now, I don't care how much you hate Trump, and if you're just one of those people that just, I mean, I don't hate Trump. I don't like Trump. He existed. He was nominated. He was elected president. People still like him. Fine. Do what you want.
Right.
I'm not the type of person that's going to tell you what to think. I know why people think, wonderful things about Trump because of the immigration thing and all that stuff. I
Right.
get it. I get it. But I also don't understand why he was thought of as this murderous maniac who
I
is just
know.
going to kill and throw people in jail. Because that's what they're doing.
Yes.
They're throwing people in jail based on their political beliefs. So
Yeah, they
you
are.
can't sit there and point your finger at somebody and say, he's going to do this while you're doing it.
Yep.
It's really just
know.
it's tarnishing our entire judicial system and our political system, in my opinion. I'm sure there's a lot of people who would argue about that, but in my opinion, they're doing a lot of harm.
The sad thing about this, Andy, for people like you is people your age. I mean, not people like you, but people your age. There's nowhere left to go.
Nope.
I mean, there used to be countries that went, no, we want nothing to do with that. Every country in the world now is politically insane.
Well, did you hear about Venezuela?
What
Okay,
now?
so it's I guess it's good.
Oh, good.
There's a new-ish president who he just had a speech. And I don't know if he's full of crap. I don't know if he's lying. But his speech was Venezuela took on the European way of doing things and the American way of doing things.
Right.
And it caused a disaster. Their recipe does not work here. Maybe it works there.
Right.
But we took their recipe and it didn't work here. And now they're having elections that are fair. And they are also, now he says they're the safest country in South America. Venezuela.
Probably true.
And he said, and they did it without any civilian casualties. I don't know what they did. Did they go in and murder all the cartels? What did they do to make it so safe all of a sudden? Because it was a terrible place for a while.
Well, they
I
have
don't
a lot of oil.
Yes.
And I think basically what happened is they just started selling their oil. And now people have money, so they don't need to be in cartels.
That's what they did?
That's what I heard, as Venezuela became like a big oil, oil country in the past few years.
But they always had oil, and then they were broke about 6 or 7 years ago. They were basically bankrupt, and they had all the oil in the
Let's
world.
see, Venezuela crude oil production. No, not destination Venezuela. This is the opposite of what I want.
Oh, maybe it was like some sort of environmentalism thing where they weren't drilling and all that stuff, like America.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they were like, oh, we just can't produce energy. We have to buy it from someone else. And that ruined their economy. I don't know what it is. But his speech was very interesting to me because I don't think that the United States policies are working at all for the people. And I don't think that Europe's are either. So it's interesting to see some people turning away from it and having great success.
Now, basically what happened was in the mid 2010s, they just decided to more or less stop all oil production because they got taken over by communists, more or less.
Right.
And of course, getting rid of your major export means you don't have money coming in, and no money coming in means people start turning to crime.
People are poor. Yes.
So now
exactly.
they're ramping up oil production again because, oh, wait, it turns out that you got to sell things to have money.
Okay, so the argument for communism has always been that everybody's been doing it wrong. But every
Yes.
time it
Yes,
gets
right.
implemented someplace,
Yep.
everybody goes broke. They have no food. They have nothing. And crime goes crazy.
Yep.
So what is the lesson here?
No, I know.
It's a model that doesn't work. Nobody has ever even come close to a communist model that everybody gets elevated to at least middle class.
Well, the thing is, when you are a megalomaniac and or narcissist, your default opinion is that you can do anything better than everyone else. So it's like
Yes.
the only reason communism hasn't succeeded is because I haven't done it yet, because I'm the only one who knows how to do it right. They're all morons. I'm going to come save the day by doing it right and fix the world.
Yeah, that pretty much sums up AOC.
Yes,
That's
a lot of
Yeah,
a lot of
probably.
politicians like that, the pie in the sky ideologists, they're all like, oh, well, you just haven't asked the right person, aka me, how to run things yet.
Right.
Oh, so in other words, you got to ask me, otherwise it doesn't matter.
Yep.
I love that.
If it fails, it's because everyone is incompetent except for me.
And not one of these people that are, such a, great new way of communist thinking has ever put forth their plan so people could look at it and say, maybe they do have something here. They never say what their great plans are. They just
No,
say
that's-
that they can do it better.
That's one of the things that I've learned to be extremely wary of is when people's plans seem to stop at tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, we have to do this right now, but I don't have any plans past that. But once we get there, I'll tell you what we have to do at that point. Because the answer is always just give me more money, give me more power. It's
Yes.
a very transparent power grab when you can just say, oh, well, give me all this money, and then tomorrow I'll tell you how much more money I need to keep things running.
Yeah.
Whereas if you can say, okay, we need this amount of money, and this is the 10-year plan, and this is how things are going to be in 10 years, that's actionable. It's something that you
Right.
can actually put faith in.
Well, I mean, even companies, all they care about is this quarter's profits. They don't care about 10 years down the road how we're going to maintain this corporation, how we're going to be responsible, how we're going to serve the people that buy our products. All they care about is this quarter's profits.
Yeah, that's very, very true.
Yeah, and then after that, it's like but if it doesn't work out, people just start getting fired and everything starts changing that way. They don't ever have long-term plans anymore. People just don't stay at corporations for 20, 30 years anymore.
No,
like-
Me.
Yeah, you're lucky to find somebody that's, a CEO or whatever that's someplace for 5 or 6 years.
yep. Now it's all about hopping. You use your position as leverage to get a better position.
Yeah, exactly.
I suppose that is true. Yeah, Supreme Court restores Trump to ballot, rejecting state attempts to ban him over Capitol attack. I have a question for you about that. Look, I don't have a dog in this fight. They should have never marched on the Capitol. I don't know. Was it an attack, though? Was it an attack?
I don't know.
Depends on who you
I mean,
ask, and your definition of attack, and your definition of insurrection, and your definition of violent, and so forth.
Yeah, it's all different.
Depends on
'Cause
what
the,
your
only,
definition of is.
the only person that was killed was a woman who was shot by a cop, right?
And
Yep.
some cop had a heart attack and
had
died.
a heart
Like
attack
days
and died.
later, which
I have a relative that says that 200 people were shot and killed at the Capitol
Oh, I
riots.
know they do. They believe
I mean, he
200
still
people were
believes
shot
that
and
to this
killed.
day.
He
To
does,
this
yeah.
day.
there's the whole pipe bomb thing. They said pipe bombs were scattered around the entire place.
No,
and-
they were not.
but someone apparently put pipe bombs all over the Capitol and then detonated 0 of them. Very strange behavior.
Well, and all of the videotape that they released, it did not look like an insurrection to me.
No, it was not. Look, I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have taken part in something like that. I have a certain respect for our Supreme Court and, the Capitol and all the rest of it. But a Capitol attack, they should not have gone in there. They were trespassing. I don't know about attacking. Did anybody get beaten up?
Well,
Not that I know of.
There's videos of uniformed people waving people in.
Yeah, right.
So you wouldn't think that they would be asking you in or waving you in if they thought that you were going to
Yeah.
do harm. So, I mean, the people that were waved in, shouldn't they be exempt from this?
I really wish you couldn't make a lot of money in America by lying your ass off, because now almost everybody does it.
Yep. The press has
It's-
way too many protections when it comes to lying.
Yeah, I don't
really
know.
does.
It's really it's getting to be the tipping point. I think
hope
something
so.
has to change.
I hope it does, because I'm getting really, really sick of it. I don't have a dog in this fight. I'm going to vote, but I'm not going to tell anybody. It's nobody's business who I vote for. I mean, you got Biden, you got Trump, you got Nikki Haley still going to be running, she said.
Is she still running?
I guess so.
I thought she lost her major donor.
She did,
Well, how is she still running then?
because she's still got a bunch of millions of dollars in her bank account, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm
But
sure
I-
she's got plenty of money.
Yeah, she probably does. Is there anybody out there, because I was just thinking about this, I know we only got about 4 or 5 minutes left, but is there anyone that you could think of you'd love to see as president of the United States? Is there anybody?
I like Vivek Ramaswamy.
Ramaswamy, I like him
Ramaswamy.
too.
I like
I like
him.
him. Yeah.
But he did drop out, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
he did.
Yeah.
And he endorsed Trump.
Yeah, they didn't like that either.
I do like Tulsi Gabbard. Gabbard.
Yeah, I like Tulsi Gabbard.
I
That's
like
who I
her.
voted for last time. She wasn't even running.
Yeah, she's got a little bit some goofy ideas about war and the military, but
Yeah.
I mean, the president only has so much power to change the entire system.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I like her.
I think Tim Pawlenty would have been a good president.
He probably would have. He
Even-
just didn't
very
have
even
the.
keel.
He's not like. He's too even keel, I think.
That's real. He's too even.
No,
keel
I mean, look.
to be the
I mean,
president.
for
I know
me,
what you're saying.
that's a good thing. But for a politician, it seems like you have to be kind of wacky for people to
Yeah, it seems like it.
respond to them.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
How about Kennedy? What do you think of him?
I like some of the stuff that he
I do
says.
too,
I don't agree with everything, but I'm never going to agree
Right.
with everything somebody
Right.
says.
Right.
Who's a politician for sure? But I like him. I don't think he's got a snowball's chance in
No,
hell
I don't either.
because he just doesn't have the big packs behind him.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like him. I wouldn't be sad if he got to be the president.
Do you think? Who do you think is going to win? I mean, just not who you want to win, but who do you think is going to win?
Lad, I have really no idea.
I don't either. Andy, you got any idea?
Nope. I'm probably not even going to vote.
Really, you don't like either one of them enough to vote?
Oh, in Minnesota, there's no point, for one. We all
Oh,
know
that's
how
right.
this Minnesota is the only state that has not voted Republican in like, what, 50 years or something like
I think
that?
that's true. Yeah.
It's the
I think
one
that is
state in the
true.
union where voting objectively does not matter when it comes to the president.
Well, and we also are designing all kinds of election laws that are going to make it so that you're never going to know what's going on.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know why they keep doing that. I really don't. I really wish they wouldn't do that. I don't know. I don't know. Andy is kind of interesting. You're not going to vote because I don't know who the hell I'm going to vote for when I go in. I don't know. I guess I'll vote for somebody, but I guess I'll see who's still on the docket.
Well, once again,
Close your
I
eyes
mean,
and scribble on the paper.
well, if
Yeah, there you
yeah,
go.
well, I will vote. I will vote for somebody. I will vote against Biden. I think he's.
Well, he's
just-
been one of the worst presidents we've
I
ever.
think he's absolutely horrendous.
and there are just some people just love him.
I just
think
can't
he's
stand
wonderful.
him.
I don't get it.
I don't.
know.
Like,
I
I
don't
mean,
get
just
it
based on
either.
the immigration alone, and it's not even the immigration issue per se. It's what's going on. The fentanyl, the missing children, the rape gangs. All
Not
of these
allowed to
people are
talk about
not
any of
being
those things.
protected by coming here, and I have a really hard time with it.
Yeah, I understand that. All right, we only got 2 minutes left. Any other subjects you want to cover in 2 minutes?
2 minutes. 2 minutes. Remember
What is-
Fawny? Fawny?
2 minutes.
When
yes,
she was
I-
like 3 and you used to have to, keep them from getting antsy about something, we'd set the timer for 2 minutes. She started doing that all
started
the time.
doing 2 minutes.
Yeah, we started that.
I do not understand this. Turning Minnesota into a sanctuary state is a mistake.
Yes, it is.
So when did we become a sanctuary state?
Well, I know Golden Valley was always a sanctuary city. A lot of
Oh,
the
was it?
cities were
Yeah,
sanctuary
yes, right.
cities. So I didn't know that I didn't know they could just do the whole state without other mayors and things weighing in.
Yeah, I don't
but
know
maybe
anything about
I guess they can just do whatever the hell they want nowadays.
So that means that we're going to have, what, 300,000 people come to the state of Minnesota for sanctuary?
Well, there was talk about having it be a transgender sanctuary state where people could come and get surgery.
Right.
There was talk about it being an abortion sanctuary state, so you could come and have an abortion at any stage of your pregnancy. And I think the taxpayers are paying for it.
Oh,
Yeah.
lovely.
And then the immigration thing, they've already said that they're giving them any immigrant that comes in, they're getting a driver's license right away.
So they can vote?
Yep.
I just cannot believe
Or
that.
maybe they didn't pass that, but they were going to. So anything they say they're going to pass, they just pass it.
Yeah.
Because they've got all total control.
I just really wish that we could all have a voice in it, not just the people at the very top. That would be
Nope,
great.
you're never going to have a voice in anything unless you agree with the majority.
All right, that's going to do it. A lot of very cheerful news today. People getting fired, and
Yeah, it certainly is Monday news, isn't it?
kind of is Monday
Monday
news. it's
blues
true.
news.
All right, we
Yep.
will talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for listening.
Okay, stay on, Andy, with me. I'll go get my
Okay.
computer.
Yep.
Okay.
Got a picture in my noggin reminds me of this one was before. Every time I hear the same reminds me how you talking